to emotional labor.
Emotional labor.
Emotional labor, baby.
This is Alex and Halen. Emotional labor.
It's happening officially? We're recording
Officially.
So wait, did we watch M3 again? When did we record last time?
I can't. I feel like we recorded like 2-ish weeks ago.
Walter had surgery?
Walter had some. Yeah, I feel like he had an
We
arm
just seen it.
slice.
So we had seen it. So we did talk about it.
I don't remember talking
So we can't talk about it again?
No, you mentioned it.
What if it's an M3 again
M3 again.
podcast? What if we pivot?
Pivot to only M3 again forever. They're making a
I
sequel.
think until they release the unrated director's cut.
Right.
Not even the unrated.
We didn't know about
I just
that
want the
last
R-rated. I don't even want the unrated. I want the R-rated director's cut. Then this podcast will exclusively be about M3gan.
Yeah.
Justice for M3gan.
We could do a
Let her
Patreon
kill more
episode-
people.
Patreon episode about
Hashtag
the
let Megan
director's
kill.
cut.
What? What'd you say?
Do
Wait,
a
what are you
Patreon
talking about?
episode about the director's cut.
Oh, yeah.
Where Megan kills, where M3gan kills.
Well, we haven't. We'll make that Patreon episode
When we get it.
when we get it.
We have time. We have to wait.
Or
Uh-huh.
we can hire a bunch of actors. Stay with me.
Okay.
And we just make it ourselves.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's just redo it.
Yeah.
YouTube series style.
M3gan fan movie.
Yeah. It's like fanfic, but fan
Yeah.
movie.
That's a thing that exists.
Right. We got, yeah.
That's not. We're
Not
not,
new.
we're not
No,
reinventing
we're not-
the wheel here.
not
we're not
pioneers by
inventing
any
AI
means.
child robots here. Come on, this is simple. This is
But we
very
should
simple.
do that. We should do more of that. Let's remake Jennifer's Body, too. Like 5-minute remakes.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wait, isn't there a YouTube channel that does that?
Is
And
there
it's
really?
Like, it's like in
I'm
the
sure.
same pantheon as like CinemaSins,
Oh, yeah.
where it's like their whole thing is that they do the same thing over and over again, but it's like that scratches a really particular itch in the brain. That little CinemaSins ding,
Yeah.
ding,
Dopamine. Ding.
ding.
Cool. No, I've never seen it, but I'm sure
Yeah,
it
they do like I
exists.
think it's like 5 minute. I think they're animated, and I think it's like 5-minute recaps.
Whoa, that's
or something, or like
cool.
1 minute recap.
Well,
or
ours
something
wouldn't
like
be
that.
animated.
Maybe in a minute, whatever.
Ours wouldn't be animated.
Yeah, ours would be distinct because it would take less artistic skill.
Yeah, exactly. I actually have been thinking about just starting to do monologues for fun, like on TikTok.
What do you mean do monologues? Like
Like,
do you mean like perform monologues?
yeah.
Okay, because definitely
Like
in my
perform
head the
monologues.
first thing that I imagined was just you like performing a monologue,
Sure.
but not like a one that was written that you learned.
Oh, like
just
one that I
came
wrote?
from your
Oh.
heart.
I'm just going to start. That's just what people do on TikTok. They monologue on TikTok.
It was just giving very like cartoon villain of like I'm gonna get into monologuing. I think I'm just gonna start like isn't that that's literally the Riddler in the new Batman,
Please,
right?
it literally
Spoilers for the
is.
new Batman.
He's just
but literally he's
monologuing online.
he's live streaming. He's monologuing
He's got
on
72
Twitch.
followers
Oh
on
my
Twitter.
god!
He's got a real following.
There's dozens of them. Literally dozens of them.
Dozens of them. Yeah, no.
Are they making another The Batman? This is a movie podcast. Are they making another?
They're
Batman?
making a sequel to the Joker.
Okay, but
to the
that's-
Joaquin Phoenix
that
Joker.
Wasn't
I know, but that's what they're
my
doing.
question.
That's what they're doing. And
I'm
I think
doing a lot of emotional labor, to try and avoid thinking about that. So it's kind of
sorry.
fucked up of you. To,
But I
like,
kind of think
just
they're
mention
combining
it.
the worlds, is why I'm also saying it.
No, isn't the Joker? Wait,
Or
am
it's
I?
different.
Oh no, I was about to say, isn't the Joker in Robert Pattinson's Batman Jared Leto? But no, Jared Leto is Ben Affleck's Batman.
What the? Ben Affleck is Batman with Jared Leto as the Riddler or the Joker? I mean,
Is that a real question you're asking me?
yeah, I didn't know that.
That this has been going on for years. There's multiple movies.
With Ben Affleck as Batman?
Yeah.
Ben Affleck played Batman?
Wait.
I did not
Wait.
know that.
Wait.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
And it was a parody, right? It was like the new Batman with Robert Pattinson, because Ben Affleck.
No, it's the one with Henry Cavill.
I've never seen them.
It's well, me neither. I've only seen the jokes.
I've apparently never
I've
even
only seen the
heard.
clips of Henry
I've
Cavill
never
with his
seen
mustache
Ben
CGI'd
Affleck
out.
dressed up as Batman. I don't see it.
It's sad.
All I can see is Ben Affleck holding his Duncan. Going
It's
like
pretty much
this.
like that.
Yeah, and now I'm just seeing him in the Batman
it's
costume.
I haven't seen it, but my understanding it's a very divorced dad Batman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he gives. Those are the vibes
That's what he's
has.
giving. That's what he gives.
That's what he gives. Divorced dad. Drinking Dunkin'. Did you see that he was like in the drive-thru at Dunkin' and like somewhere?
Presented by Dunkin' Rewards?
Yeah, presented by Dunkin' Rewards.
That's crazy.
God. Damn, that's crazy.
So wait, but is there going to be a sequel to the Batman? You didn't answer my actual question.
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I think like
because if
the buzz I've
if
seen
that's
is about
that
the Joaquin
honestly would be
Phoenix
so sad
Joker.
because Joaquin Phoenix and Ben Affleck deserve each other. Okay,
Please.
Put them in the Batman movies that I don't
You're
care
right.
about.
You're absolutely
Robert
correct.
Pattinson and Jared Leto should be.
each other's Joker and Batman.
You complete me.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? They're both psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck Jared Leto. He shouldn't be getting any
He's
work.
in every
But
movie though.
if
Isn't that
he's
crazy?
well, that's the thing. He's been literally my friend Erica and I. So when we used to have movie marathons in high school,
Yeah.
and we'd watch like 30 to 50 marathons in a weekend.
Right.
Marathons? We'd watch a bunch of marathons. We'd just
Yeah.
get DVDs of marathons and
People
watch them and
running,
be like, I don't know, I think
swimming.
26 got it. But when we watch these movies, like just dozens and dozens of movies, right? I cannot tell you how many times we'd be just watching some random movie we grabbed off the shelf at Blockbuster and be like, is that Jared Leto? Is Jared Leto in this movie? Wait, is Jared Leto also in this movie? Jared Leto is in Fight Club, American Psycho, fucking
that movie with the ass to ass.
Requiem
Nightmare.
for a Dream.
Yeah.
Nightmare. Requiem for a Nightmare. Nightmare for a Dream.
Call that movie Nightmare. He's in he's literally in he's Morbius.
Yeah, he's Mighty Morphin Morbius. He was in Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh my god, was he really?
He was in.
He was just in another movie I watched and I was
He's
like,
in everything.
this motherfucker's
He's
in
in
this
everything.
movie? He really is in everything. That's why we may have talked about him in the cult episode because he has a cult.
Well, he has a cult, right?
And it's like, of course you do. You're very rich. You're like, in a way that it's like, you have just been. Yeah, I feel like Jared Leto, even though he's in every movie, he's also like, it's like people are still like, he's in Suicide Squad. It's like, this man has been, you're underestimating. He's been underestimated in his wealth and power, I think, a little bit.
I don't know how wealthy he is, but I do think there's just a thing that happens. It's like when you're a really famous man, specifically, you get a really interesting genre of follower. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stalkers are for girls, and cult followers are for boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Two genders.
Two genders.
Are you a stalker or are you a
cult
cultist?
leader?
Which
What's your
one?
vibe? Jeez, Christ. Yeah, no, it's like a
Well, Jared Leto sucks. So,
right.
Jared Leto, bad. Ezra Miller, bad.
Bad.
Ben Affleck, different kind of bad, but still
Boring.
bad. Very boring and bad. So, in conclusion, DC bad.
Yeah. DC?
DC
Bad.
Except for Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, good.
taking a bomb to the face.
So we started rewatching Buffy, and I'm learning that Robert Pattinson got everything for Twilight
Everything.
from Angel.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's
the
true.
affect, the style.
The hair.
I mean, I guess I'm sure it was collaborative
okay,
between
to
the
be
director
fair,
and
it's not
Robert
his fault
Pattinson.
that they have the same shaped face. That he couldn't control.
But that's
that,
probably why he
but-
got casted.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They were pulling
Exactly.
from Buffy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I want to rewatch Twilight. It's the only one that I can really rewatch. New Moon a little bit because it's just
Wait,
so
which is the
fucking
one where they
sad.
have sex for the first time?
That's Breaking Dawn.
Okay, so Breaking Dawn is a great movie.
Please.
I've only
that's
seen
the
that
one
scene.
that you're like, that's
I've
a great
only
sex
seen that
scene.
Well, they had me watch it for the Cosmo sex ed teacher reacts to movie sex scenes, and it was
Right.
the best one. Of
That's
all
so
the
funny.
sex scenes that they had me watch, I was like, that was the best one. Twilight wins. I was like, I didn't know they were fucking in Twilight like that, but Twilight wins.
Twilight wins.
It had the best like communication, the best like it was great.
Well, I mean, they waited a long time and they had to be careful
They
because
saved
Edward.
themselves till marriage.
They saved themselves till marriage, and Edward was like, I have to be very careful because I could accidentally kill you.
Well, wait, is the one from?
She's not a vampire yet.
Oh, she's not a vampire.
The first
that's
time
how
they
she
have
gets
sex.
pregnant. I see.
Yeah, she's
Well, wait,
not
is
a
it the first
vampire
time
yet.
they have sex, or is it? I think.
What did they make
I think
you
in the movie.
They show the first time they have sex, she's not a vampire yet.
Okay. Well, in my recollection of the scene that I was shown,
Yeah, maybe you saw.
scene
a
I was
post.
shown, it seemed like she was saying like, now we're both vampires, so like we can just have sex
We can just
all
really fuck.
day,
And that's
like,
what they
now
did
we're
when
really
she did
fucking.
turn into a vampire.
Okay, so I think it might have been the first time they had sex after she,
Oh.
instead of the first time they had sex ever.
And she got pregnant.
Because it seemed very like, damn, they're like...
No, and
I was like, oh, they're going all night. And then the sun rose in the scene.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, they're actually for real going
they never
all
get
night.
tired.
Because they are vampires.
Yeah. And somebody's watching the baby.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having a vampire polycule.
Yeah, no, that was hot in the book, too. Because she
When
had
they
to be
became
turned
vampires?
to a vampire because she was going to die after she gave birth.
Right.
And then they were like, whoa, we
Oh my
can
god, so
fuck.
she immediately had sex after
No.
her extremely traumatic
No.
birth experience?
No, there was at least 24 hours before they were
Oh,
fucking.
okay, at
like
least
that.
24
At
hours.
least 24 hours.
Just so you know, IRL, it takes a lot longer before you can
No,
have
she was a
sex.
vampire. So she was healed.
Oh,
That's why they turned
she's
her.
a vampire.
So she's healed.
Okay.
Yeah. They
So
turned
the
her
rules
into a
are different
vampire.
for
Yes.
vampires.
That's why they had to turn her into a vampire because she was going to die from her
her
injuries.
traumatic-
Yeah, from her
from
birth.
having her baby
From her vampire.
gnawed out of her belly.
Literally gnaw out her belly and pop
Blech.
like alien style.
Gross.
It was disgusting. And she was drinking blood during her pregnancy. It was so disturbing to read. It was like, I'm going to pass out.
But then on the other side of it, it got hot. So
I know I have such a kink now for
I was
that
gonna say
shit.
now it's that book fucked you up,
And
gave
I
you a
know.
complex.
Bite me.
Okay, so happy Valentine's Day,
Happy
everybody.
Valentine's Day. We're talking about objectification of relationships.
which is what M3gan is about.
True, the exploitation of...
I just want to say, okay, so
Girlhood.
spoilers for M3gan, but not really, because if you know the premise of the movie, you know everything that's going to
Yeah.
happen in the movie. And she's a doll, and she goes crazy, she kills people at the end. That's how it goes. I do think that it's really... So, like, we recently found out that there's a R-rated... It was originally going to be R-rated, and then all the TikTok teens were like, we love this movie, and so they were like, let's make it PG-13 so the TikTok teens can see it, which, like, fine.
Sure.
But
They rule the movie sphere, apparently.
before we even got there, when we were in the car on the way there,
Yeah.
I was like, let's all talk predictions of, like, what is this
Yeah.
movie, like, about? Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
And I really quickly was like, which I don't know what it says about my psychology, but I very
Right.
quickly was like, well, there's obviously going to be some angle of this that's, like, the objectification of girls and
Yeah.
girlhood and like sexualized but not exclusively sexualized way, just like objectification of the sexual and non-sexual variety,
Yeah. The emotional labor that of the whole
emotional labor,
reason she exists.
I mean, specifically in the fact that, like, the way that she looked and even
Yes.
the, like, the styling of this robot felt very, like, okay, this feels
Kind
really...
of Lolita?
Yeah, it felt very Lolita. It felt very, you know, that kind of, like, uncanny thing people talk about, like, looking at children's pageants and stuff, you know what I
Yes,
mean? This very, like,
very
this is a
that.
child doll that is styled like a grown-up, like, styled like an adult.
You're right. It is girl pageantry. It's exactly
So
that.
I was like, that feels like what this movie's going to be about.
Right.
But I forgot it was PG-13. So they didn't really get into that, except for
Yes.
one dude, the one guy
Who worked for the company,
literally the
sniveling.
the first line he
Yes.
had, the first thing out of his mouth, I was like, pedophile. Put that
Right.
guy on a list.
Right.
Like, 100% pedophile.
Right. Like they were writing it that way. It seemed like that was the lead.
As soon as he showed up, I was like, this guy is a pedophile.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple of other scenes that were like, it was very like screenwriting 101 of like, like the ideas planted, and then there's
Right,
some
the arrows are
reminders of it of like,
He
and then
was
we come
doing
back
weird
to
shit on the
he's
computer.
and then he's doing weird shit on the
And
computer.
what did his boss say?
Well, his boss walks up to him and is like, "Are you on Pornhub at work?
Yeah,
again." Which was funny because I also said the word again, and then he said
said
in the movie again.
Huh?
I was like, "Oh, this guy's a
So that also
Fucking
insinuates, yeah, like
you're a pedophile. You're a pedophile. You have obviously some really extremely weird
right?
issues with."
Because why
Why are you so obsessed with it? Because the first line
Right,
that he
why
says
are
in
you
the
so obsessed with
movie
the doll?
is, I thought it looked great. I thought she looked great. I thought she looked great.
Right.
I thought she looked really good. And I was like,
he gave
weird.
creepy vibes.
Weird. Why are you talking about how good the robot looks? Why are you using she pronouns for the robot? Feels like you kind of want to fuck the robot.
Like I feel
Weirdo.
like yeah, and I feel like they were trying to, like, all the arrows pointed to exactly what you're saying of, like, it feels like it's insinuating that he is a sexual creep and that he's interested in, like, exploiting this for that reason.
I mean, the confirmation of that was in the very end scene where they're doing the big launch day or whatever, and he's like, I think we should get kids on stage. Like, I think we should just have a bunch of children.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
to me, that felt like okay, so this dude is a pedophile. This movie is no longer implying, it's outright stating, like, this guy is a creep who wants access to kids.
But when she killed him, I feel like she stated that her motivation was, like, you're stealing company secrets or something. Which is, why would she care about that?
That's the thing. Well, so
Right.
I mean, it was less
In
so
that
like her
way.
motivation. It was more of her like justification of like, I'm going to make this look like a suicide and make it look like you killed
She's
yourself.
telling a narrative because you're so pissed that your boss
caught
your
you
boss and
stealing
stuff.
secrets or whatever.
You're doing it because you're a resentful worker.
But conspicuously, that's all dialogue from M3gan, which would be very easy to dub in post.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be very
It did
easy
feel
to change
edited
her dialogue
funny.
in post. I think what makes a lot more sense, I think that probably part of what subplot was cut was that there was a lot more weird shit with this creepy pedophile stealing the files, probably because he wanted to make his own little child robot because he was being a creepy pedophile. Like, that felt like it was like this completely, this like enormous elephant in the room for the movie that was like alluded to but never actually like, even actually directly touched. Like, I think that scene where he's like, we should get a bunch of kids on stage was the most kind of explicit version of that. And even then it's still pretty like, I think the extent to which you see that as obvious is entirely dependent on the extent to which you already have clocked this guy as a fucking weirdo, like, to be like, that's a fucking weird thing to say.
Right.
But I think that's honestly like the thing that I'm the most curious about from the uncut, you know what I mean? Like director's version of it. Right. It was like, what was actually the intention with that character? Because it really felt like it was leading towards something a lot more probably difficult to get through on a R rating. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot more sinister than what he ended up actually doing.
And or I'll be disappointed and be like, did you all like decide that you couldn't do it because you were afraid it wouldn't pass? Cowards. Or where people are like, we won't do it if you make it like that. I don't know. That would be weird.
Because it was, I mean, that's the thing, is like it felt like a very heavily implied storyline that I could totally see. It's like, oh, the trailer came out and the main people who want to see this movie are TikTok tweens. Like, are we going to present them with an R-rated movie with a major subplot about child sexual abuse? Like, like, you know, the number crunchers probably didn't find that very appealing.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. We'll see how far they got with it. Maybe,
but also maybe they weren't. But that's what I mean, though. Is like I was like, maybe they weren't actually going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But also, it seems like what that's. I'm so sorry to say it, but if you're making a movie about girl robots, that's what you're making a movie about. You got to talk about the sexual objectification angle. Unfortunately, it's part of it. Like,
and also, even the idea of like
literally not even robots. Well, fucking her. Do you know what I mean? You made it a sufficiently advanced girl AI. No, I mean her. The movie Her.
Oh, her. Right. Oh my God.
Like literally, she doesn't even have a body. She's just a girl's voice, and it's still about the sexual objectification of women. So I feel like if you make a girl, if you make a girl robot in any capacity, that's going to be part of the conversation. Yeah, I mean, inevitably.
I'm thinking about even like it's actually implied even with the fact that they're making the doll anyway because the narrative or because the market they're looking for, right, is historically like the market where there's a lot of child sex trafficking, very rich people who could spend almost as much as a Tesla on a doll.
Oh, I was thinking even just from the angle of like they're marketing this towards parents who don't want to raise their children, which is also a very big risk factor.
Emotional labor and the also again the thing of all of it, it's all being offloaded onto this like robot girl doll child who is emotionally mature like an adult would be.
And it's not necessarily even that I think that the story was originally going to handle that in a very like sensitive or serious manner. I think it's very much a horror comedy. Like it was really kind of, as far as like a review of the movie overall, like it was goofy and fun. And I feel like even whatever angle would have gone with this like obvious pedophile would have been right exactly on the verge, on the side of campy, as opposed to like, I'm even thinking about what you were saying about the experience of Barbarian, which is also a horror comedy.
Oh my God.
But the child sexual assault stuff in that is not part of the like campy, like over the topness of it.
Well,
it's like
it's not campy.
You know what I mean?
It's very gross.
Sinister.
It's very upsetting, actually. That's like the horror part of it.
And I feel like this dude was being presented as such a like fucking loser that it was a little more of a like, do you know what I mean? It was like, it is sinister because it's sinister,
right? But the movie overall,
it was less.
Tone
it felt more like, oh, Megan's gonna kick this guy's ass. Like, can't wait for Megan to just stomp this dude. Yeah,
stop it, Jesus Christ. And I think that scene is more gruesome in the R-rated cut. Like those scenes in general are just more
Must be,
gruesome, and
must
there's
be.
like a more decapitation.
Well, actually, I'm
stuff.
saying must be. I have no
You're right.
idea because I didn't watch that scene. My eyes were
true. You're like,
closed. My hands were over my face. I don't know what happened. I was like, I see where this is going. I saw way too much of that boy's ear getting pulled off, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
that
look
was
away quite in time. I was like, is that gonna? Literally, the reason I didn't look away in time is because I was looking at it and I was thinking in the behind the scenes terms of like, I wonder what kind of like mask thing like they put on that boy's ear to get it to stretch like that, to like get that really stretchy, like what kind of latex prosthetic ear he had to wear to get it like blah, blah.
Gross. Ripped it right off.
And then it started coming off, and I was like, I'm late for a meeting with my eyes closed.
I'm thinking about like what you're talking about though, the like, well, you brought up her, and then I thought about Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh, I love that movie.
I kind of want to rewatch it.
I love that movie. It's so sad.
Yeah, I remember it being
So
deeply sad.
heartbreaking and
Yeah.
sad. Literally every frame of that movie makes me cry.
Whoa, we should rewatch
Like,
that shit.
just
But am I right? Or don't remember it though. So I brought it up because I'm like, how does that movie talk about the objectification of women and sex? Because it's like he falls in, quote unquote, has a romantic relationship with a sex doll.
it feels a lot more like
But I remember it being very sentimental. I don't remember.
it is very sentimental because it's pretty clear. First of all, it's made pretty explicit that he is not physically intimate with the doll. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? That's like this is a non-sexual relationship, which I think speaks to like it's a movie about a very lonely man, and so I think what it actually is speaking to is like this kind of very like real phenomenon of. I think Jenny Nicholson has a really great like snippet of her video on bronies where she talks about like why do they want to fuck the ponies, like what's going on here, and she like breaks down a couple of different like aesthetic factors and character design and like furry convention whatever but then she's like, I also think that it's just true that in our society like men are just really struggle to conceptualize of positive relationships or like positive feelings towards female characters that aren't sexual, or like with women in general that aren't sexual, where it's like, I like this thing, I must want to fuck it, like this thing, it makes me happy, or like it's like nice, I must want to have sex with it, like it being kind of like a byproduct of the socialization of masculinity.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of that that's being presented, right? Where it's like, it's not so much that Lars in that movie is presented as somebody who is converting his loneliness to sexual aggression.
Right.
I think it's more so that he's almost like a metaphor for that. He's like, he's the most
that
benevolent
loneliness.
version of what that guy can be. Do you know what I mean? Like, who among us has not dated a weird dude with incel tendencies who had some complex much along that same line.
Yeah.
Where again,
Gender.
loneliness gets transformed into this like sexually aggressive kind of like
resentment.
Yeah,
or
resentment.
entitlement or
psychosis.
And
in the case of Lars and the Real Girl, it kind of reminds me low key of Chainsaw Man, where like
interesting.
Denji being really obsessed with touching boobs.
Right. Oh my god.
Still kind of feels weirdly sentimental and like pure of heart. Do you know what I mean?
It literally
like,
does.
It feels very like, oh, this is an expression of your loneliness.
Yes.
Like, I think Denji, much like Lars in Lars and the Real Girl, has a very non-threatening aura. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, this doesn't, it is the thing of like your loneliness being channeled into what I want is sexual intimacy. Like that's the only genre of intimacy that I have an imagination about, is like physical intimacy.
Yeah.
But in the case of Denji and Lars, it doesn't feel like it's about sex in the like sexual gratification sense.
Right. It's about being close.
Connection.
Connection. That's the thing about yeah.
Which again,
themselves,
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the ways that the real world version of that ends up happening. It's like none of those things are actually very
because there's like
flattering when real life people are doing them. But that's the thing, is that
there's like hierarchical reasons that like those desirability politics make not like there's like incels that are like entitled men incel, and then there's like the resentment of like nobody wants to touch me or be close to me, because I'm like undesirable by like standards of society. But there's actually nothing undesirable about me. People are just like deciding based on these.
I was gonna say it's also I mean kind of the Elliot Rodgers thing though, right?
But that guy was a fucking entitled piece of shit.
But that's what I'm saying is that like the perspective of like it's like you can be really entrenched in your worldview of like I'm an aggrieved person because everyone thinks I'm gross and won't touch me.
Right.
How much is that actually related to reality?
Right.
I think in a lot of cases.
Right. To reality check that.
Elliot Rodgers is a totally normal looking person.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Of like when I was thinking about him when I said the entitlement thing too. Of like to read his manifesto. Right. I mean, it's just like you just believe that because you're some cis man and that you're some dude that being whatever you want to do, you just should get it. And like you're saying, reality checking like why you're not actually receiving. But that's what I mean. It comes from a different place. That loneliness actually would never.
Does it come from a different place? Because
I think sometimes it looks different or feels different, but it can turn into that, and that's the part that's sad.
I guess that's what I mean is that it manifests in different ways. But is the source thing really different?
No,
I think about what
right.
Mark was my first very shitty boyfriend.
Yeah.
My first very shitty boyfriend, and also my first very shitty boyfriend. I had others, but
yeah. I had others.
But he's the only like true I think incel adjacent kind of like red pill person that I've ever dated. I mean, the kinds of things he would say were truly, in retrospect, I'm like, that's crazy that you said that out loud, and also crazy that you said that out loud to me, and then I continued to be in a relationship with you.
But there's so much of the backdrop that was like, it's actually 18. Not crazy that you said that out loud.
Well, that too.
It's reflected back at you.
I was like, that makes sense,
day.
actually. That's normal. Yeah. He had a lot of evolutionary psychology talking points, do you know what I mean? Of like, this is actually normal and natural for men to think this way. And I was just like, okay.
And that shit is taught at Johns Hopkins.
Well,
you know what I mean?
For my part, I was like, well, there were no men in my house growing up, so I don't know. As far as I know, sure. That sounds plausible to me.
Plausible, yeah.
It's very plausible. Maybe all men do. Maybe hashtag yes all men.
Please.
I don't know. I was 18.
I hear you. Exactly. I'm 18.
I was 19. Well, yeah, I was 18, 19, 20.
Losing my mind. Yeah. No, exactly. The way that the entitlement to women as a class, the labor, the expectation of what it means when you're a woman. Who's a woman?
Well, again, I mean, the thing that we're talking about ultimately, it's like we're talking about objectification, but mostly we're talking about men's loneliness. It's like and how men's loneliness is this actually huge like chasm of despair that's like constantly spitting out. It's like one of those like in a video game, it's like one of the spawn points for enemies. It's like constantly just churning out new shitty guys, just like
which is frustrating because even though I'm a huge Sopranos fan,
good God,
I am
Mark it. What's the time? How long did it take?
I am actually very tired of the conversation.
I'm tired too. I'm tired of the conversation too.
Being about men's loneliness when we need to talk about women's loneliness. And the loneliness of people who are dealing with men's loneliness. Do you know what I mean? Like that it always feels like it's centered. Like again, that there are all these stories.
Well, because when men are lonely, they kill people.
I know.
Ow.
That's why I'm like, we need to
maybe if women kill, there should be more women serial killers, so that people will finally start taking women's pain seriously.
That is one way that people deal with it, and it's frustrating because that's not the way. Because it is the thing of like, I was talking about this the other day of like. Being what in the very I don't even know
a woman.
What asterisk everything I'm saying. Being a woman, right? Like
asterisk being asterisk.
Yeah. This theory of like that it's this response to the fact that there's an oppressive, aggressive, violent man that creates this then binary of like a woman is then to in some ways be in response to this because you have to fawn to that response and then all the like culture and like practices and etc. Like I feel like I've seen a lot of like talking points lately about like the function of gossip, right? Like all these functions of things that happen like inside women's lives and emotional circles and stuff that like because we are, there's this feeling of existing underneath of, you're always existing inside of like, there's
panopticon.
the panopticon
Yeah.
of man, the
manopticon. The manopticon. We got there. It's the manopticon. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
From the manopticon.
From the manopticon. And that like there's this frustration of trying to make relationships acknowledge this while also not being exploitative. It's so hard. You know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, how to like, or at least in media anyway, I need more I need to start having more experiences with media that are more about women's loneliness that aren't fucking
Madoka.
Yeah, exactly.
Madoka.
That's it. That's
Watch
it.
more
I know.
Madoka.
Just watch it again and
Paprika.
again.
Paprika is literally about a woman's loneliness. Cats is about a woman cat's
Touch
loneliness.
Me, literally. Exactly. You're right. I need
Let's
to
talk
watch more
about
of
women's
that.
loneliness.
Let's talk
so
about
here's our
women's loneliness.
Here's our watch
M.
list.
Freegan is very lonely.
M. Freegan. Literally, she is
So
very lonely.
Lonely. Who's taking care of
Oh my
her?
god! When what's her face is like,
She's
Megan's
singing?
not a real person, and that kid's like, you don't get to say that.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't get to say that. Megan is a real person.
She's singing Titanium, and it's funny, but it's also
I'm
like,
sobbing.
wait, she's serious.
She's made of titanium.
She's made of titanium.
Oh no! I'm gonna cry.
Nobody cares. It's so upsetting.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow! I love Megan.
I love.
She was right. She didn't do anything wrong.
And I feel like Jennifer's body is an example of like becoming the grief seed. You know what I mean? Of like, I'm
a witch now.
I'm a witch now. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you, even though I love you.
It is very telling
needy.
that in Madoka, spoilers for Madoka. God, are
Yeah.
the notes for this episode should just be a list of all the shit that we spoiler. Yeah. But the point at which redacted main character becomes a witch is right after hearing a conversation of a dude being really degrading to his girlfriend.
Yep.
Like two bros talking and this guy being like, yeah, man, my girlfriend fucking sucks. Like that. Like,
Literally, I hate her.
she's a dumb bitch. Like,
Yeah, let's
go.
fuck women. Let's go fuck some
Literally,
bitches.
yeah.
It was so bad.
So
And
bad.
she's like, why
and
am I
she's like,
protecting
hey,
this world?
you fucking suck. Like, why? Like, why? Why?
Why do you fucking suck?
For you to live, I have to suffer. No,
No.
I become a witch. And who among us hasn't overheard a conversation on public transportation that really made them think about going full Joker
Don't you
mode?
ever just want to
Do you
go
ever
ape
just-
shit? Aren't
do
you
you ever
tired
just
of being
feel
nice?
And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I was also thinking about, as we were talking, when I was thinking about Lars and the Real Girl, I was also thinking about Hard Candy, another film that talks about
Although
and
I
takes a
wonder
different
if
stance.
I watch that movie again, I wonder if I'll
haven't
like
seen
it.
it in a long
I don't think I
time.
will. You know what I want to watch actually that I haven't seen? Trigger warning, controversial, but have you seen Happiness?
No.
Okay, I've heard of this movie many times, many times. It's like an ensemble movie with a bunch of different stories, and my understanding it's about like suburban despair.
Oh yeah.
But the thing that everybody talks about is that one of the main characters of the movie is a pedophile, and it's like a not sympathetic in the like he's a good guy way, but sympathetic in the like he's a main character and you're seeing a lot of stuff from his perspective way. That's very like, again, very controversial. Has some weird things to say.
Kind of like reading Lolita.
Yes. So I'm really interested in seeing what the fuss is about with this piece of media, because every people whose opinions I respect seem to like it. I mean, if it sucks, somebody please write in and tell me before it's too late.
Yeah,
But
please.
it seems
Send us a
interesting.
DM. Controversial. I'd watch with you. We can go like, or
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, it's like there's a huge body of media about the objectification of children. It's just that a lot of it doesn't know that that's what it's about.
right, and it's. I haven't seen the movies in a while, but I liked the books of Let the Right One In. It's very much about the objectification of children.
Yeah.
And the loneliness and the despair of that, and two children like being together inside of this hell world,
Right.
where they're totally just seen for their vulnerability to exploit it. Very sad.
To be a child.
To be a child is very traumatic. It's unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're small. You're literally tiny. Things are loud. Yeah, hard. You know, also thinking about women's loneliness, I'm also tired of media of like Fleabag. That's not the kind of women's loneliness. I haven't even watched it. I just like don't want to engage in it, really.
Yeah.
Because I think it romanticizes a person that
Having a
actually
shitty
usually
sex
ends
life.
it, who has a shitty sex life, and I think ultimately ends up killing themselves. Like I think, like one thing I do, like about The Sopranos is there is a
God.
character who has that like emotional style, lives that life, and she does kill herself.
It feels
Spoiler.
honest.
And it feels honest. It's like, yes, that is what happens. This is not cute. This shit is not cute. These are
not fun and
lonely,
quirky,
empty people who don't have any hobbies, who just sit around and talk about their trauma, who drink, and then throw meat at each other's heads because they don't know how to talk to each other because they think that they're talking to their mother or their father all the time.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, it's funny. I do think that is what Fleabag is about, but hearing you talk about it reminds me of how I felt about Girls when Girls was on air. Especially because being a sex educator, right, and being a person who talks about sex, people are always like, oh, this show that's like about sex, like, do you have an opinion about it? And overwhelmingly, I'm like, no, because I find it excruciating to even think about watching it, let alone like actually expose myself to it. Yeah. Because overwhelmingly what is happening is like, it's a very ugly process, I think. Yeah. Ugly in the sense that it's like just hard to watch, not that it's like morally questionable. But watching people kind of, it's like you identify that there's something wrong with this picture, but you haven't quite identified what. And so there's a weird I think phenomenon of quote unquote sex positive media that ends up being really sex negative, actually, promoting a lot of really shitty and bad ideas about what sex positivity means or what it looks like. Like I'm thinking of Sex of the City. Do you know what I mean? Like classic example. Like Girls, I think was also an example when it was on air. I didn't see very much of Insecure, so I can't speak to. I only saw
a little
it.
bit, but
I only saw it in the context of the Cosmo thing, the like watching scenes from it, and all the scenes from Insecure were good.
Okay, cool.
So props to Insecure for that.
Good, yeah.
But I think more generally when it comes to like these things that when everyone's talking about 50 Shades of Grey, what do you think about 50 Shades of Grey? Nothing. I think nothing. I think I hate this. I hate that this is the thing that is getting people to talk. Like, yes, it's a wonderful and beautiful thing that it's women are talking about sex in public, and that's like breaking barriers, and that is so cool and awesome. And it's so cool and awesome that people are like more curious about sexuality and feel less ashamed about like asking certain kinds of questions. But I remember I wrote an article in college that actually got circulated a little bit when 50 Shades was coming out about like around Valentine's Day. That was about like like what if you're curious about BDSM, like how do you actually start in a way that is like safe and reasonable? And one of the main things that I was talking about was like, it's not like 50 Shades. Pretty much look at everything 50 Shades does and do the opposite. Like this is a horrible example of how to have this kind of a relationship, which is fine. That's not like an immoral act on the part of the media. I mean, I think name a piece of media where the characters behave in a way that real people should emulate. You know what I mean? Those would probably be pretty boring movies. Like, I don't think that that's the problem. It's not realistic. I think the problem is that 50 Shades is the only thing. It's like, this is the one way that we're allowed to talk about sex in public
the most
right
mainstream
now. Right.
access point.
And it's a whack.
It's really whack.
And I feel like Girls was that for a while. Like, Girls was like the show that's about sex that everybody's talking about, like how sexually progressive and like forward it is just by virtue of like talking about it, which again is important. But this is again the frustrating thing about being in the position of a sex educator, where it's like I know exactly how bad sex education is in America because I'm there.
You're there.
You know what I mean? I'm there. I see it. I see the problems. I see the gaps. So it's not that I blame any particular creator for this thing being true, but it is just a very frustrating reality that like most media that is about sex is not written by people who are like have expertise or even have resolved their personal trauma around sexuality. I have issues with certification for a lot of reasons. I'm sure we'll do a whole episode about certification bodies at some point. But to get certified in the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, one of the things that you need to do, like right off the bat, is get is participate in something called a SAR, which I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's essentially like an orientation program for being a sexuality professional where the whole focus is on working through whatever your hangups are around sexuality. So it's like engaging with a lot of like sexual material, basically, not necessarily sexually explicit media, although also that, but like just engaging with a lot of things about sexuality and kind of interrogating like, okay, what are, like, I think I'm sex positive, but where are the places where I still am holding on to internalized stuff or my gaps in understanding, things I don't have context for, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that that's a really important part of becoming a competent like sexuality professional, right? Is being able to do that kind of interrogation.
Yeah.
That's not a requirement for like making media about sex.
No,
I'm not suggesting that it should be. I'm just saying that like
maybe
a lot of media
sometimes
is
they have a
written
consultant,
without that.
but and it's like, to what extent do they actually use? What does that mean?
I'm a consultant. I've heard some crazy things from quote unquote intimacy coordinators that are like,
oh my God,
you seem to have a basic misunderstanding of how consent works. That's crazy. That's your whole job. Like, that's actually crazy.
It's actually like you're facilitating not good things for media.
It's bad.
No, you're right. Yeah, there's not, that literacy isn't demanded.
Which again, I understand why. The baseline is very low.
It's in hell.
It's in hell.
The bar is in hell.
It's
so we're talking about here. The bar is in hell,
which is why everybody should hire me to be consulting on these shows. Just kidding. Don't everybody.
But that is part of it. Like you're saying, sexuality and gender and social relationships. It's all holding each other. They're all together. The fabric of our lives.
I want to see M3gan, the real M3gan.
Real M3gan.
I want to know what it had to say about that because it clearly was going to say something.
But how come you feel like you feel differently about Hard Candy now? What's your vibe?
Because I think it probably
there's a similar revenge tale there.
Well, but I think in retro experience, what I'm probably going to be more struck by is just the like torture porn, like not literally torture porn because it is not that level of gory. Do you know what I mean? But I mean more just as a
she does it, or they don't even do it.
No,
actually.
exactly.
Right.
So it's the psychological.
It's the fantasy.
Like that whole movie is about tormenting a pedophile in a way that is again for sure. Like I'm by no means am I saying, hey, why don't we ease up on the pedophile a little bit? That's not the position I'm taking.
It's just the way you're talking about it.
When I think about how I experience movies, do you know what I mean? Somatically, I think I'm probably going to find it really unpleasant to watch because so much of it is about really like just kind of taking delight and relief and like pleasure from someone's suffering in a way that I personally just very much struggle to. It's like I think part of what Hard Candy is about, right, on a metatextual level, is like it's trying to force the audience to engage with like you want this, you sicko, you know what I mean? Like you
rather
like
than
this.
seeing it as a cautionary tale of we have to stop this from happening. This shouldn't happen to a young girl.
Like, this
very
person
traumatizing.
is very traumatized and clearly is like having it. Yeah,
but like when I watched it, you're right. As a child, I walked away being like,
yeah, fuck that.
I can't wait to be like that.
Right?
It's like wait, that's actually
no. This is a sad story. This is her sad story. Actually, it's not like So. To me, it's like I feel like I feel like when I say like I'm interested to see what M3gan would have explored with that angle, it's mostly everything besides the kill. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not really curious if the kill was different. I think the kill probably was actually mostly unchanged because it was one of the more like kind of bloody and like viscerally ouchy kills from the movie, which is part of the reason why I was like, I bet he was supposed to be a pedophile and this was supposed to be more of a like, yeah, fuck that guy kind of like moment or whatever. But I'm more so talking about everything leading up to that point. You know what I mean? Of like, I'm just interested to see how like. Okay, movie, it seems like you were like about to open your mouth to say something and then you like stopped. But like, what were you about to say?
It did feel very, something about it did feel very,
What were you about to say? What was that guy's weird, what was his weird deal?
They dropped the ball a little bit.
I mean, what if we get the R-rated version and it's actually just like the whole time it was just going to be this vague, like.
That's what I'm saying. I kind of think it could be that.
It's never going to be, that's fucked up though. Then why have an R-rated version in the first place?
Because I think it'll just be more violent.
More violent, more gory.
But maybe that's part of it. We'll see.
Maybe there's a version where like he was stealing the secrets because he was going to work with some other weird pedophile to like do some weird.
It just felt weird, like you're saying, the porn thing, the
off-site manufacturing
stage,
thing, and then Megan was going to kill a whole child sexual abuse ring. A whole ring.
Oh my God.
And it would have been like that scene in Boondock Saints where they spin around with the guns and in a circle, and she's just like. Pew, pew, pew,
that is probably in the
just like
version
that.
Is her doing that, honestly.
Remember when she got in the car? That was so iconic.
Yeah.
I was like, that bitch is driving.
Yeah, she was amazing.
She knows how to drive. I can't drive.
I can't
do anything she does.
She knows so much.
She's made of titanium. So yeah, objectification of relationships.
Yeah, we talked
Valentine's
about that.
Day.
Valentine's Day. I'm like thinking about media. Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
What is Valentine's Day?
What is?
It's
a day right before you can get a bunch of really cheap chocolate.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to get a big bag of pink, red, and white Hershey Kisses. Hershey Kisses are so fucking good. Like, Hershey chocolates are not good, but Hershey Kisses are so good.
Oh, you like a Hershey?
What is it about the shape that makes them taste better?
Something away. I don't know. They really melt in your mouth in a nice way.
Maybe it is just the surface area. There's some physics
Something
thing
about
happening
that
here.
Changes.
And also, I mean, knowing me, it's also just the joy of like, oh, it's a little treat. It's like a little
Unwrapping.
Oh, it's like a little one. It comes with a little thingy.
Little foil.
It's cute.
It's good to know.
A little piece of paper.
Please.
I would always be so annoyed when when you get like a bag of them and then some of them don't have the little piece of paper because it like fell out.
Yeah.
I would always get so annoyed.
Yeah. Eat them at the end.
Foil.
God.
Eat them at the end. Oh, I thought you meant eat the piece of paper at the end. I was like, ow.
I think I was just
like, ow, what the fuck?
left in a barn to fend for myself.
I mean, sometimes it sounds like it. That's more or less how you present it.
You know what? You're right. It is how I was. You're right.
You're like, yeah,
I
everyone forgot about me.
I was raised by institutions.
Yeah.
This is the product of an institution.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine you in a church basement carefully separating the little paper strips out of your Hershey Kisses into a pile to save for later.
I cannot talk to any of these people. I'm like SpongeBob in that episode. My three
Gang's
friends.
all here.
Gang's all here. God.
Yeah, what was it?
That will be. That's another
Penny,
episode. Penny, napkin, and Chip.
Chip.
Well, I think that's something we have to talk about. Spiritual trauma.
What?
You were saying, I'm thinking about being at church. Separate.
Oh, I see. Yes, I thought you meant SpongeBob still. I was like,
No.
SpongeBob's not spiritual trauma.
No, just trauma.
No.
No,
We should talk about traumatic children's media at some point. That's an episode.
that is a whole episode.
I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about love and relationships? And objectification and intimacy and Valentine's Day? And Hershey Kisses?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. A lot of the media we were talking about has like these loving. What is a romantic relationship?
Right.
What is love?
Wow. Remember that movie we watched with Nicole Kidman and that kid? Do you remember that movie? Do you remember the movie? And he was like, I'm your husband.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, no, you're not. And he was like, yeah, I am. And she was like, are you?
I don't remember how it ended or anything.
I mean, so spoilers for, I think it's just called Love, right?
Or Son or something.
I think it's called Love.
So Nicole Kidman's dead husband comes back as a 10-year-old boy and
Right.
comes to her house and is like, I'm your dead husband.
It's me. I'm
me.
here.
I'm here
Right.
for you.
And then, spoilers for the end of the movie, but he's not.
Duh. But does she believe
Duh.
it? She gets to a place.
So she gets to a point where she believes, and then that's when it all like falls apart or whatever. But that movie, I feel like, is about like, it's funny. I listened to a podcast where these people were talking about it as being about like the existence of God. But I think you could also make the argument for like it just being about the existence of love and whether or not like love is a real thing. Because I mean, ultimately, it's a movie about delusion, right?
Right.
It's like It's about this woman being presented with something that's so impossible that she wants to be true so bad
Right.
that even though it's so impossible, like she's just faced over and over again with the option. Like I think the moment where she changes her mind and decides to believe is while she's at the opera or something or the ballet, and she has this like
Totally
ecstatic
emotional
experience
overload,
with the art,
But
in a way that really makes it seem like what she's kind of the point that she's getting to is like, it doesn't matter if it's real or not if I choose to believe. And then the ending is like, no bitch, it does matter because you're still in the real world and that's a 10-year-old child, not your husband.
Right.
Like it simply isn't. It's simply there are things that cannot be.
Right, and it's like it doesn't matter that you
There
don't
are
understand.
storms we cannot
know
weather.
why. Right, like
What's the next line? Fuck.
there are things that cannot be, and there's storms we cannot weather. Is it I Had a Dream? Is that there's like an interlude? I had a dream my life would be. Yeah. So different from this
Is hell I'm living. Anne Hathaway really.
So different now, but than what it seems. Yeah. Life has killed the dream. I dream. And scene. And dead. Yeah, I guess Nicole Kidman, that movie, like, right, like the idea of like because you don't know why it's happening, right? Because I can't even remember what the truth was of like how he knew all the information and stuff and why he did it and all this stuff.
It was a very flimsy reveal.
But because like you're saying, it's about the delusion.
Yeah.
But it is really the question of like, just because I like don't understand it and like I can give in to the fact that I don't understand it and I still don't want to. I'm not going to have I don't know. I can't. I have to make peace with it. I'm not going to believe it like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
But she was also in a movie where she was I told you about it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a young Joaquin Phoenix also. And Nicole Kidman is a teacher. It's like based on a true story. And she, quote unquote, she has an inappropriate relationship with her high school student. Quote unquote, they fall in love. Joaquin Phoenix is the student.
Why is that such a genre?
I know. But this was like, this movie walked so Lifetime could run.
Please.
There's so many excellent scenes in it. It's incredible. It's a great movie because the end, spoilers, is about how the movie is about narcissism and delusion, because she's just like totally royally publicly fucked up her life. Like this is a famous story, like the news people at her house, like this is crazy. I think she kills someone. It's insane. She killed her husband, I think, is what ends up happening. And then he tries to, and then
it's a Long Island Lolita.
It's based on a true
knockoff?
story.
Yeah.
Either she kills him or he kills her husband because he's like, I want to be with you.
I was gonna say that's Long Island. Is that where it was? Long Island Lolita. Was that the name? Was a gender swapped version of this story that was very famous, where she became a celebrity. She killed her
teacher's wife.
I'm not sure if it was her teacher or like a coach or something, but like it was some inappropriate relationship, and she killed. But she told him to. Nicole Kidman told Joaquin Phoenix to. She was like,
but like I think he fucked up.
I think I remember actually hearing about the real life case this is based on.
Yeah, but the end scene
happens
is
all the
just
time.
you just see it from her POV. The end scene, you're like inside her head, and everyone's like, all the like news people are like holding their news things to her, and in her head she just hears the applause, and she's like having this inner monologue of like, I'm famous. She's like just telling her like she just loves the attention. She's so histrionic and narcissistic. It's so incredible. I'm like, oh, this is such a movie about delusion.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a great movie. And gender, it's wild.
Another movie about delusion and gender that I haven't seen and will never watch, Saint Maud. Have you seen that?
No, but I might have heard of it.
I feel like you should watch it.
All right, I
mean, trigger warning, spiritual trauma.
Right.
It's I've watched some very compelling video essays about it that have convinced me to never watch it. But it seems like a good movie. Yeah. Just never the kind of thing. Again, my nervous system is so jacked up. It's a pretty narrow band of tolerance for what I choose to engage in my recreational time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, let's watch cartoons.
Let's watch cartoons. No, I'd watch it. I like for some reason to watch things that are,
terrible.
Horror.
And yet you had such a hard time with Funny Games, which was truly one of my favorite movies.
Because I have triggers that are so specific. The meat. Like things like that just already put me in a weird... And it's a movie about hypervigilance. And I am hypervigilant. Mm-hmm. So it's a movie about being gaslit. And
And I am gaslit.
And I'm gaslit all the time. Just like because I'm so confused from being gaslit. You know what I mean? Like the like obviously of like having been in a traumatic relationship where you're gaslit and then you like have trauma about being gaslit and then it's just some things you have to get through. And you have to live, laugh, learn how to work through it because you can't just assume everyone's gaslighting you. It doesn't work that way. But you're just gaslighting yourself.
Good try.
Please.
You know a movie that wasn't afraid to go there?
What?
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad was not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
They said, children will die in this movie.
Yeah. They killed so many children in that movie.
Children will die.
Yeah. And it's not a glorification. That movie is really, I think, it really
feels very honest.
It's so honest.
Sometimes too honest.
It's too honest in a way, but it's well handled because it's like, that is the truth. Like, I think when people ignore how capitalism truly, because I don't think it's a coincidence that it's a suburban landscape that showcases different levels of the working people. And there's like dynamics that you're noticing. And what this is, the thread is that like, if people are under fucking pressure.
Yeah.
The labor, what is the labor? What is the cost? What is our relationship about? Like what are we doing? You know?
What are we doing?
That to be so like disorganized and frustrated and caught in that, you're going to blame the most vulnerable person you can. Like you can, because that's what that's what capitalism illustrates as like an available relational tool. And like that's how the nuclear family is maintained. So it's like it shows how deep that goes, which is a parent could kill their child.
Right.
I'm so fucking over it. I'm killing you right now. What?
That's the only chance I have at getting my life back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Crazy.
I think that's very real.
Cover
but you
that
don't
one
listen
for
to that
Mother's
voice,
Day.
obviously. But I do think if you put people in an environment that makes that voice easier to hear, it's like, okay, it's going to be really hard to tune that out when you just keep like making it harder and harder to do anything else. You know, I just like truly believe, I mean, nervous systems are dependent. Like people like will pass out or die or something. But I do think that like, yeah, if you put, someone could be made to do anything if you put them in an environment that forces them to do something if they have a drive to like, if they can't die, you know what I mean? Like if their body just won't die from the shock, if they can't do it themselves.
It's crazy that we don't have an internal kill switch. I mean, I get why.
I think there is. You don't know what it is though. Like what would be the stress level where like all I would be able to think to do is just kill myself? I don't know.
Some. Well, no. I mean, situations of. I wish there was some internal kill switch of like. The method is I simply close my eyes really hard and say, "Time to die." Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, no, there's some really there's some fucked up situations that I feel like I have, like true crime type shit that I've encountered, where it's like you really think about some of the horrible things that can happen to a person, and it really makes you wonder, why isn't there just a button you can press to be like, okay, I see where this is going, just take me out now, like just fix it, let me just boop, like boop, you know what I mean, like power down. But again, I understand why, because I mean, I'm glad we don't have that button, because I certainly would not be here if that were the case.
Press.
I mean, I'd stub my toe and I'm fucking ready to.
It's over.
End
there have
it
been days. Yeah,
no,
it's true, but there is a level of stress, like what you've talked about. Like if I yell, I throw up, right? Like you won't be in environments that will make you like that because you can't be there. I can be in spaces where you would throw up because I don't have that response. But there is an environment that would make me throw up. I don't want to know what that environment is.
Oh no.
I don't want to know. I think some people are like, I want to know what it is. And I'm like, I don't want to know what it is because I think it's actually going to we'd have to go a long way. I don't really want to get there. You know, like I don't need to know.
But is there something that I can handle that you could handle? I don't think so. I think I'm just
absolutely.
a weenie.
No. You handle so many things that I can't handle. That's great. What? You're judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree, Halen.
I hate that saying.
I think it's an apt metaphor.
I think it's dumb.
I think it's simple. It translates well. It's a pin. It's like
a pin.
Think about it. Why would you say that? You have to think about. We're talking about labor.
It just feels absurd to me because on its face, to be like, you're judging a fish. What? I'm not.
You have to let
fishes don't get report cards.
Your mind,
no.
And the rest will follow.
Exactly. That's why I'm keeping it on lockdown.
What I'm saying is, there are so many things that you could do that I could not do. Not just because I don't want to do it. There are things that I would want to do, but it's like I'm either too scared or I just like literally don't have the skill set. Like, but they're just different things. There is a level of like, there's a genre of thing that I can do that you can't do. That is like,
I guess I just mean in terms of like that kind of stress resilience. You know,
but
what
that's
I mean?
only
Just, like,
that's only exploited as good because it gets you through.
I'm not saying I'm
terrible
jealous.
things.
I'm just saying
You don't want that.
I don't want that.
Exactly.
No, we've discussed
Right,
this.
right.
I don't want that. I'm glad that when I bite into the salt donut, my body rejects it. Okay, that's a good thing.
Do you know what I mean? In that way, you're like not a weenie. Actually, do you know what I'm saying?
I'm the strongest of all. By being a weenie, I'm actually the strongest of all.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And the meekest amongst you
Yeah.
shall be the Bible. Help me.
Oh, I don't know, but yeah.
And so unto such as forth.
The tiny ones.
The meek
The meek.
shall inherit
The earth.
the earth.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
I
That's
know
it.
that one.
I think that's true. Like vulnerable people are that's what it should be. What? It's just like, it's wild.
Right?
But I'm a product of my environment. Like I have a different body, a different nervous system, a different access point socially. I'm all very different.
It's all very stressful out there.
It is very stressful. It is so stressful.
And that's why people end up in really shitty relationships.
Yeah, especially even like our relationship to being
Wow,
women.
is shitty?
No.
Wow. Okay.
No, I was
No,
going to say
no. Say how you feel.
our
okay.
please.
I get it.
Our respective relationship to having relationships with shitty people and being women in relationships, like we have different experiences of that, even though it's like we both share the experience of being a woman in a relationship with a man that was shitty, like on its face value, but like we experience that very differently. Like those words mean so many different things, and like, and now to even say it for me, it feels it's more retrospective in a way, because it's like gender is not. I do feel like a woman's still in the like binary class of like man and other. Like I'm like, woman. Yeah, you know, right, of course, like that's yeah, but it's different. It feels very different, you know. But I also think that's because our baseline experience of that were so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relationships. Dating.
Computers.
Have
you seen those replica ads that are like very explicitly just like, did you know that you can sext with your AI girlfriend? You seen Replica? It's like Replica with a K. It's like an app for. It's like a little.
I don't think so.
It's a little AI friend that lives in your phone. You can talk to.
Oh my god!
And I'd seen it just as like
Yeah.
a thing that existed. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Like
sure.
it's being used. But now it seems to they've identified their target demographic. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
And
my
it's
god.
lonely weebs.
Oh.
And it's like, did you know that your like fake girlfriend will just like do whatever you want and like can do erotic chat with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just where society's headed. So see you later, folks.
See you later.
It's been fun.
I remember that was like one of the first episodes of Futurama I saw was when they get like AI sex robots. And I remember being like really young and being like, I don't think I'm supposed to watch this, but I'm definitely going to keep watching it.
Oh my God.
But just like talking about that question of like, oh my God, you can just have an AI sex robot of like, and it was like talking about like likeness and intellectual property, like of any celebrity, you know what I mean? It's like, that's wild to think about.
Terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
I
but
mean,
now,
I think Ex Machina is a
haven't seen
great example of, we should watch it.
yeah, I want to.
A great example of how, what my intuition has always been, which is if men make sex robots that are intelligent, they'll kill them. Like, that's the only logical conclusion. Because, frankly, a large part of why more of that doesn't happen in the real world is the typical physical disadvantage in heterosexual
Right.
relationships. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's like,
Definitely.
I think that if, like, on average, women were robots, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And had the physical capacity of robots, there would be
Yeah.
a lot more murdered dudes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally.
Well, actually, I think obviously a lot of things about society would be very different, but I think the first thing that would happen would be a lot more murdered dudes.
Cyborgs in media. Cyborgs in society.
And I guess technically she doesn't really, well, I guess spoilers for Ex Machina, but she doesn't even really I get, define murder, not to sound like good for her, but yeah, no, like define murder. Okay, she left him to die, whatever, like potato.
Mm-hmm. She left him to die.
All I'm saying is she was right.
Did nothing wrong.
That man did not see her as a person.
Yeah.
He saw her as an object.
Yeah.
He saw her as a woman, but he did not see her as a person.
Right.
That's the thesis of the movie. That's the thesis of the movie.
Not a person, just a woman.
Just a woman.
Just a woman.
Ha.
Just a
Ha
woman.
ha ha.
Which is inherently an object.
Ha 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 ha.
By his manopticon, his male gaze.
It all comes full circle.
Like a manopticon.
Yeah. Full circle. Yeah.
360.
But yeah, I feel like not that I'm not saying that I would have murdered anybody that I dated. That's crazy. Okay, I wouldn't say that. Okay, that's crazy in Minecraft. But there is a kind of like, I think, just desperate frustration that comes with, it's like how many times have, like, the repeated realization in an interaction with a man of varying levels of intimacy, right? Like maybe the person you're dating, maybe just some random person on the street, of being like, wow, I'm really not a person to you. Like, I'm really not a person to you. Everything that you're saying and doing right now is revealing that on a really deep level that you don't even have the capacity to be cognizant of. You don't think I'm a real person. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's deeply disturbing.
That's crazy. And I can understand if I was a robot, all I'm saying is some of those interactions might have gone differently. Mm-hmm. In Minecraft. Okay?
You're right.
That's all I'm saying.
You're right. In Minecraft. Yeah. Minecraft.
Okay, I'm talking about playing Minecraft.
Minecraft. Yeah, I feel like, honestly, with gender, it's interesting. I think I have more experience of either being seen as a person first before being seen as a woman, or not being seen at all, because it's like confusing.
True. The intersections of whiteness.
Exactly. Yeah. Whiteness gives that like personhood assignment.
Aura.
Yeah.
The aura of personhood.
Yeah, exactly. But, and then like to what extent you fit in.
Lean in.
Lean in.
The extent to which you lean in.
Again, when I was blonde, crazy.
Yeah. Blondes
I was
have
like,
more fun.
Holy shit, I'm a woman when I'm a blonde to other people. It was unbelievable. Let's go, girls. I was... It's crazy. But alas, I'm not into it.
What a thing to know. Mm-hmm. Just that at any point there's a fairly superficial change you could make that will
could totally
radically change
my
your experience of the
society.
world. That's crazy.
It's unreal.
I mean, I guess that's always true for everyone, but the extent to which it's true.
I mean, I started doing that with bras. Like, I stopped wearing bras but I only started wearing them to things like job interviews and like events with like men. Respectability, or like for a while trying to appeal to a gaze, but then I was really comfortable with like, actually, even I don't want to sexually appeal to that gaze. Like, I'm not interested in people who are sexually interested in that because I'm not that, you know.
God, we have
at that point anyway, I was
wearing bras. Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. How do you?
I don't have.
Of course, you wear bras to a job interview. Otherwise, they'd be swinging all over the place.
Well, right. I don't have any titties.
Take an eye out.
I'm wearing the bra to make them bigger so that they're like to activate the idea that they want me there because I'm hot. Yeah. It's like, don't you think I'm hot? Don't you want me around?
If you think I'm sexy.
But I am not bad at what I'm
doing. My body.
Yeah. Hire me.
Call me back. I need a job.
I don't need a job. But I don't do that obviously anymore. It's not my vibe.
Yeah. Things have really changed in the post Panini.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, by the time I got to New York, I really wasn't. Was not.
That's true. Your blonde phase ended relatively early in your.
Yeah, I like shaved half my head when I got there.
Yeah.
So like when I had my job interviews, I actually looked really kind of crazy. Whack. Yeah, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But the one person where I got my job, she thought I was cool. She was like, "You are crazy, but you're cool." She saw that I was cool.
Exactly.
I was like, "You get it."
Yeah.
She moved on to bigger
Some
and better
people get
things
it.
because she
Some
knew
people
it.
don't.
She got it. Yeah. She was British and she was a dark-skinned black woman and she lived here. So she was like,
She's like, I understand fashion.
I understand fashion, but also she just saw like she just had to. It's just wild how baseline Americans have no working class solidarity or like awareness in a way that like it's just like fundamentally absent from the culture of being American in some ways, or it's like I don't know. Whereas like she just was openly talking about things in the office that I was like, this is very radical of you as a boss to be talking about, and you have an awareness of it that I've just like nobody else in this office knows what we're talking
I
about.
didn't say radical. I mean, it's radical to like have maternity leave in America.
Right.
Like,
and she was like, that's
actually-
bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, that's not radical. You know, she was like, she was like, workers of the world unite. I was like, what are you doing here? Like, she like had a different vision of like life, you know, but she was still at the end of the day a boss at a nonprofit. You know what I mean? So it's like, but she was like, you know, it's like the good for her thing of like, okay, but like there's reasons why you are that feel better than others, but it's also like, meh, it's still the petite bourgeoisie class, you know, in those like very like three.
But it's, as I said about Hilaria Baldwin, I can't fault anyone for getting it.
Getting the bag.
I mean, getting by.
Mm-hmm. Not hilarious.
Plus also that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's a funny thing to do.
I'm entertained.
I think that's really funny. I think Hilaria Baldwin is hilarious.
Hilarious.
I think it's a hilarious situation.
It's a case study.
It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so embarrassing. We were talking about this earlier. I literally cannot. I cannot imagine being as embarrassed.
Like I came in and
like
with the
trying
media.
to picture how embarrassing it would be to be in that situation, to be caught in a lie so big and so stupid by everyone who ever existed. Yeah. I don't know how I would die.
Die
again. This is why it's a good thing that there's not like a kill switch, because
that
I would absolutely get
other
so
people's
embarrassed. I would be like, oh my god, I can't take it.
Witness. I can't take it. Get me out of here. So many fucking spoilers.
Does that make me not a good person if my main motivation for not lying is not wanting to be embarrassed on such a scale? I'm like, I don't want. If I lie, then I could be caught in a lie, and that would be so embarrassing.
That's a beautiful motivation. Like, come on, why? That's a great reason. Like that to care about. I don't know. That's fine.
Like, care about my reputation.
Yeah.
I'm a Leo.
But also, and it's also the expectation that other people care about the integrity of their reputation. And,
well, they don't.
I know, but that's what you put it out because you want to get it back.
It was just crazy to me. I don't get how people lie and then just like feel good about it. That's crazy.
It's very
people really out here lying.
It's actually very encouraged in sociopathic
I sound like
society.
A crazy person, but like lying is so like fibbing.
Sure, a little white lie. I'm sick. I'm calling out
the truth.
You know what I mean?
Whatever.
Sometimes I call out I'm not sick.
But like the lies people tell, the lies that people tell,
whole ass other lives,
lies.
That's lies.
Crazy.
Yeah,
no wonder people are so lonely.
Right.
You're lying.
They're lying.
You're a liar.
And you know, people lie to themselves in ways that like people just need help seeing things sometimes. That's okay. But like you're saying, there's also the thing of like lies. Like you're lying.
You're lying.
Why the fuck you lying?
You lied.
You lie.
You ever date someone who lied about pointless things?
Sure, Steve probably lied about pointless things.
Yeah.
He probably lied about serious things too.
Well, right.
So why not? I lied about things though. What do I have to say?
Wow.
But
oh yeah, I forget you were.
I was a liar. Yeah. Liar, pants on fire.
You were a little more overtly toxic in that way.
I was pretty toxic, but I became toxic. I had my why the fuck am I taking care of this world moment after dating him for so long. Right. You know, you just you start repeating the behavior. Yeah, I became a witch for a little while, which is whatever.
You went hard candy.
I went a little hard candy. Didn't really get it out of my system for a long time. It's okay, but. Yeah, relationships. And capitalism makes them hard to be in.
That's what Coraline's about.
Another capitalism mom and dad.
Story about a girl's loneliness.
That is a story about a girl's loneliness. And she's very mean to her friend.
Yeah.
She's
Because she's lonely.
She doesn't know, right? She does not.
She has no language for being literally her at the end of the movie being like, I know how to be nice to people now because I've grown. I've grown.
I do love that movie for the character growth arc. I love that. Wow. Well, yeah.
I mean, I
think that's
what
it.
else is there to say?
Women in media.
Are there any other big like girlfriend robot movies we missed? Her was so funny, I will say. Her was a comedy to me when she was like, I'm in love with like 30,000 people. I'm dating like 30,000 people right now. You don't get it.
You don't understand. I'm an AI.
Not to sound crazy, but I feel like I've had a version of that conversation with so many people that I've dated. Do you know what I mean?
Relationship anarchist.
Not like that, but like in the sense of like, more in the sense that like, I don't know. I think it is, again, a byproduct of men's loneliness that it's like, I had an era of casual dating where I was like, those were not like disposable relationships, but it was very much like we're dating to have fun, and I'm not going to meet your friends and you're not going to meet my friends, and we're not like escalating this to like someday, you know, meet each other's parents or whatever. Like it's like we're just having fun. We're going out. We're enjoying each other's company, whatever.
Right.
But this like, again, byproduct of men's loneliness thing where we're hanging out, having fun, and it becomes rapidly apparent that it's like, oh, I'm one of the most intimate relationships that you have in your life. Like,
and I don't know you.
And I don't, and we don't know each other like that. We don't have that kind of relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know each other. We have a relationship. But there becomes this, like, fixation, right? I mean, I think it's, when I was joking earlier about, like, stalkers are for girls, it's like, that obsession of, like, you made me feel good once, so obviously we have a special connection or, like, relationship or whatever that I feel like, yeah, it does feel like a strong byproduct of no. It's just that I'm the only person in your life who you like talk to. Like the thing that you hear from sex workers all the time, which is that like a non-zero proportion of their clientele are people who just want someone to talk to.
I mean, I've been thinking more and more. It's not like sex work at all in that way, but that my job is starting to. It can feel
that like emotional labor.
There's a similar emotional labor, but like in some clients, that's the part where it's like, it's not every client I work with, the job doesn't inherently feel that way all the time, but sometimes it is in a way where it feels like am I the only person you're telling about this?
Yeah.
That there's that people kind of think that's the point. And it's like, no, the point is to come here first and to learn how to do it with other people.
Right.
Not that you're supposed to only do this with me.
It's this super secret journal that's a human being.
Right. But
just keep a journal.
Just literally keep a journal.
If you want something that's a place where you can keep all your secret thoughts, keep a journal.
I've been moving more away from that, though, if I'm trying to get more into dream stuff.
That's true.
Of like, I don't want to be doing the weekly stuff as much anymore. Yeah. I mean, send me your dream clients. I love my weekly clients, but I don't have the time to keep doing it. I need to do the classes and stuff. You know?
In the dreams.
In the dreams. Dreaming kitties.
Aww. Yeah. What are they dreaming about?
I don't know.
Fish.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Emotional Labor. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. We love hearing from our listeners, so shoot us a message at hey, that's hey with 3 Y's, at emotionallabor.co. You can also follow us on Instagram at e.mo.shun.al.lay.bor to keep up with our latest episodes and projects. Until next time.